Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's match day, and no, Sean and myself haven't coordinated tracksuit tops, just coincidence. But there you have it, green and white tracksuit tops. You couldn't make it up. Anyway, I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 Twitter handle. You all know that by now. And I'm joined as always by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW Twitter handle. Sean, how are you?
Not bad, Tony. I'm quite excited about this tonight, I think.
Yes, indeed. We will get to that. But first things first, Sean, what a marvellous prize we've got on offer for subscribers. And this is a prize for subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, but we'll tell you why. Celtic travel to the Santiago Bernabeu to play Real Madrid in their final Champions League Group F match on November the 2nd. And you and a friend can be there at the match, courtesy of the Celtic Way and Travel Bank Holidays. As you can see on the screen, an all expenses paid trip for two to Madrid to watch Celtic play in the Bernabeu. We're running a best ever subscription offer, and it's the whole trip, 2 match tickets, 2 seats and a direct return flight to Madrid from Glasgow, 4-star accommodation in the centre of the city, and we'll even throw in a wee bit of spending money for you while you're over there. Now, what you need to do to enter the draw for this prize is for subscribers only. So if you currently subscribe to the Celtic Way, you're eligible, and you should already have had a form in your email inbox to fill in, and a link to that form, and just fill that in, and you're already in the draw. If you're not a subscriber, I'll draw your attention to the ticker running along the bottom. The current deal is £6 for 6 months of full access to the pod and everything that's written on the website and everything that we do there. Big interviews, in-depth features, tactical data analysis. We've got a smashing lineup of columnists with thought-provoking opinion pieces, the whole shooting match. So that's the equivalent of £1 a month for half a year. And the minute you complete your subscription form, you'll also be eligible to win this prize alongside the rest, and you will get another email with the all-important form. So hit that subscribe button, guys, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and you could be going to sunny Spain in November. I don't know if it's sunny Spain in November, Sean, but it sounds good, doesn't it? What a prize that is.
Probably better than the Clyde Riviera in November anyway, I'll tell you that. But...
Indeed. Now, still on the Champions League theme, Sean, it's match day 4. Celtic are at home to RB Leipzig. Nothing less than a win will do, Sean, to keep their qualification hopes alive. Last 16 hopes alive. Celtic have 2 back-to-back matches against RB Leipzig and Shakhtar Donetsk. If they can win both of them and Real Madrid keep up their end of the bargain, they would go through. But first things first, we take on RB Leipzig tonight. What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
Reading your newsletter yesterday, very not confident, but excited, as I say, because we've spoke about the situation that Celtic have ended up in, and you probably would have taken this situation. All right, the context means that you're thinking chances missed, but nonetheless, the situation you're in, it's still within your own grasp, obviously assuming that Real Madrid continue the dominant form that they've been in, which I don't see why they wouldn't. So I think it's an exciting couple of games, exciting chance for Celtic, and I know there's injury worries, and we'll come to the team selection and all that. But I still think if you'd have says at the start or when the draw was made, you're going to be getting into 2 home games of your last 3, where if you win the 2 of them against not Real Madrid, then you'll qualify essentially. I think that's a decent situation to be in. Obviously, there's context within that, as I say, but I'm excited for it.
The manager spoke about having belief, Sean, after the RB Leipzig game. He spoke about yesterday in his presser self-preservation mode. I think these 2 games are right for Celtic to grasp the nettle, aren't they? Because the crowd will be right behind them.
Definitely not self-preservation.
Yeah, you have to go, and this is a wonderful opportunity. He also spoke about that wins are hard to come by in the Champions League, and we all know that because Celtic haven't won. I think it was 2009 the last time they won a Champions League group stage match, but it's all there for them, Sean. And as you say, as I pointed out in the newsletter yesterday, the calibre of opposition shouldn't really frighten anybody with a Celtic connection. This is doable, more than doable, in fact, for Celtic.
Played both already, Tony. Shakhtar game, very disappointed that they never come away with a win, I would say. But that, if anything, gives you more confidence for the home game. Leipzig, it was 3-1 and Leipzig deserved their win, right? I would say probably most people would agree with that. But I think in the context of the way the game played out in the first half,
certainly,
there was periods where Celtic had them pending. Obviously, one of the Nkunku goal came from that exact scenario and a lax touch and stuff like that. But Celtic had them worried at times as well, and they did have chances. The second half, totally different story. As I said, with the data round up and put the race chart and all that up last week with Aidan, it was once Celtic scored, from that point on, Celtic didn't do anything particularly going forward. And Leipzig had their goals, got some chopped off, and then the mistake by Hart kind of took the wind at the sails and stuff. So I would still argue, maybe looking for a silver lining, and maybe some people think it wasn't there in the Leipzig game, but I think it was certainly there in the Shakhtar game, that you've played both. And as you say, whether you get beat off one or not, which you did, I still think there's plenty to think that at Parkhead, with all that entails, that there's plenty to be confident about. And I see Marco Rosa's comments have infuriated a few people, because he basically says it would be a good day out, a good place to say that you've experienced. I don't know if he entirely meant it the way that some people are taking it, but I take their point as well, because you remember we had a comment on here just at the Champions League draw, Tony, remember? Saying Fortress Parkhead is no more and stuff like that, and people like coming here rather than fear it, that kind of thing. So I think that ties into that kind of narrative. I don't know what you think about it, because I remember at the time you weren't really happy with that comment, but I don't necessarily think Marco Rosa meant it the way that it came across. And if nothing else, you use that, then you go, well, we'll show you as somewhere to be feared.
I just hate that whole narrative about Celtic Park being a great place for teams to come and win, and the atmosphere is great, and Celtic crowd play their part, and I want it to be Fortress Parkhead, as you say, and I think tonight is the ideal opportunity tonight to send out a message and say, do you know what, Celtic ain't going to get rolled over at Parkhead anymore. This is a kind of start a new kind of European chapter tonight, and get yourself in that position to qualify for the last 16, or at the very least get the Europa League by getting 2 wins in a spin, and see if Real Madrid can keep up their end of the bargain. As you said, I don't see any reason why they won't or they shouldn't. But tonight, it's all about tonight and just getting a win. And Brian Roberts comes in and says there's a lot of negativity about it. I can't understand the negativity, I've got to be honest. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Celtic. That's the way I see it, Sean. And they have to, as I said, grasp the nettle, and all those kind of carpe diem, seize the moment, seize the day, and all that kind of stuff. But and I think this team is well capable of doing it, because, like you, I saw enough in the first half of that game against Leipzig to say Celtic can trouble them, especially at home. But as we know, and we're going to touch upon now, we have personnel selection issues, don't we? And we have put up, both of us have picked a team, and they're vastly different, aren't they? Well, not vastly different.
Yeah, there's a few differences.
Of opinion.
We've got Frank Brennan coming in here saying, sadly, the so-called Fortress Celtic Park hasn't existed since 2010. And Beach Boys saying, we've seen this movie before, amazing atmosphere, whirlwind 30 minutes, and then get picked off. Another defeat tonight, I'm afraid. He thinks it'll be 2-1 or 3-1 to Leipzig. And then that's when Brian Roberts came in saying lots of negativity. But, I mean, entitled to your opinions. And it was literally 3-1 to Leipzig a week ago, so they're not without foundation. I do think that will make a difference at Celtic at home, though. And what I would say is, and I said it there about after that goal at the start of the second half, Celtic created nothing, and they looked really exhausted playing against Leipzig and stuff. Where Alan Morrison wrote a really good piece last week, where the sensible head on, essentially looking at it for what it was in terms of the way that it played out and the stats, was basically just pointing out, which is logical, that in domestic football, for all Celtic still press, they're spending 60, nearly 70% of the game with the ball at their feet. Whereas in Europe, that's maybe down, even if they do take more possession, which isn't necessarily a given in the Champions League, it's maybe 55% rather than 70. Do you know what I mean? So, say they had 45% against Leipzig, that's 55% of the time they're spent pressing. So it's a lot different from what they're used to in domestic football, and that does play a part in terms of how exhausted you get in that second half. Now, is that an excuse for instance, individual errors? Depends on the individual error, I would say. The Hart one, no, wasn't an excuse. But I think it is a massive consideration, and the way that you get around that is, one, for me, take your chances early, because then it affects the state of the game after it. You can afford to maybe not rest, and I know Ange Postecoglou always wants them to go for another goal, but you can still be smart in terms of picking your moments if you're already a goal or two up, that kind of thing. A bit of rest defense, as the basketball players call it. So that I think that's pivotal. I think that's pivotal. And the way that perhaps becomes more likely, and you can maybe stop Leipzig picking you off the way they did last week, is keeping the ball better to begin with. And this brings us on to our predicted 11s, Tony, because we've went with two different approaches here in midfield in particular, I think. Now, the caveat here is, because as Postecoglou didn't explicitly rule Jota out, we've had no choice but to rule him in. And we'll both say what we would do if Jota was out, but he's in both our teams, put it that way. So I'll put yours up first, Tony, if you want to talk us through it.
Well, obviously you can see Taylor and Juranovic coming back in. Welsh, Carter, Vickers staying at the central defensive partnership. I know he said that Jens was fit and available again, so wouldn't surprise me if Jens came in. But Carter, Vickers and Welsh, I think, played on Saturday. I think they'll get the nod to start again. And I brought in Abelgard to play the Callum McGregor role, because I just think maybe we might need some height and some physical presence in the middle of the park. And I think Hatate and O'Reilly are better forward. And then I've brought in Haksabanovic to play in a more advanced role, because I think he could trouble the Germans. And Kyogo over Giakoumakis, I've said that's a head rule in the heart. Kyogo's with a head, Giakoumakis with a heart. I just think the manager prefers Kyogo in the big games and Beach Boy Watch.
Do you think that's harsh, Tony? Beach Boy's comment?
It's very harsh, but we've always said when the two of them are fit, Kyogo's the number 9, isn't he? Or your centre forward. So
he set up the goal last week, to be fair. He was top scorer so far. So
he's a top scorer of the team. So it's very harsh, I think, Beach Boys. But again, I won't be annoyed if he starts with Giakoumakis, because as we spoke off here, Giakoumakis played against Real Madrid and caused them problems. So, and obviously Jota starts in my team, giving him the benefit of the doubt. But if he doesn't, then I think, like yourself, we were both talking about, we would bring in Abada. Yeah,
I think so. When I put my team up, I suppose it's two questions for me. When I put up my team, I'll discuss it. Pegleg, Lonergan saying is Jota definitely out. Well, no, we've ruled him in purely because Ange hasn't ruled him out explicitly. He's going to check him again today. Basically, they're going to give him every chance up until the last minute to prove his fitness and then take it from there. If he doesn't start, Tony, you're Abada and switching Haksabanovic, are you?
Yes. That's exactly what I would do, and Marquee Boys saying no chance Abelgard starts tonight, Tony. Well, I
don't think there's no chance, Tony, because initially I thought he would be in. I don't think he'll start, but
I don't know. I'm going horses for courses. And I just think we need some, we need something in there to stop them coming forward, because they broke at speed, didn't they? And I know he's still kind of getting up to speed, but I think games like this are when you come of age, and I think everybody is desperate to see him kind of start and see what exactly he can bring to the table from the off, So I would like to see him start in terms of just for his own personal, because a lot of people are making snap judgments on him last week after he came on for Callum McGregor in difficult situation and saying he'll no cut it, he'll no do it.
I actually thought he'd done all right. Faded because he was clearly no match fit, but I thought initially when he came on, he done no bad, considering, as I pointed out in the kind of first look,
and
he played a handful of games back in April or something, but before that it was December last year he'd played. So.
And Robert Gibson says he'd play Abelgard. That's what I'm thinking as well. I think he offers you a bit of protection to your back line. So, and it's not, as I say, the front five there are quite offensive, So Joe Donnelly, I thought he played well. So lots of people are varying and differing opinions on that, but so I'm cautiously optimistic in terms of the fact that I think Celtic have the players in that offensive five to cause problems. Even if Abada is substituted for Jota, and even if Giakoumakis is substituted for Kyogo, I'm not entirely upset if that happens. So I really do feel that I think it's this area that Celtic will need to concentrate on more than this area, because I think, as you said as well, if Celtic can take the chances, which they will no doubt create, then they could win the game,
David Holmes saying, charts mean nothing, goals win games when we're struggling to convert. That's, funnily enough, that's what the chart said as well, David, but there we go. I'll put my team up now. So I'm slightly different from Tony. I've gone with the same back four. I've got Welsh in there. I actually thought Jens was probably, including Joe Hart with his error, I thought Jens was Celtic's worst player last week. So I'm not that fussed if he doesn't start again this time. I think Welsh reverting to left centre back against St Johnstone was probably because Jens was ill. I suspect Jens might have started and then would therefore start this game. I think, given that Welsh played alongside Carter Vickers on Saturday, he's going to start again tonight. See, I suppose. Midfield, though, is where we're drastically different, Tony. I think that Saturday gave us a glimpse into what's going to happen tonight. His kind of midfield plan. So I've went with O'Reilly, Hatate and Haksabanovic as the midfield trio.
Same again.
And I did think that Oliver Abelgard would start in Perth.
Yep.
With this game in mind tonight. But the fact that he didn't, and the fact that it's essentially a must-win game.
Yeah.
I think that's why he went with that midfield on Saturday, to test it out before the Leipzig game, with the intention of, rather than protecting the back line, giving them an option that can progress the ball, maybe, well, not as well as McGregor, but as well as you could potentially do with McGregor being out, because Abelgard's more of a defensive option, and I don't think that's what you need tonight.
I just thought you negated O'Reilly's creativity though by playing him there. Just my own personal
maybe,
opinion.
but you've got
And
Hatate
I know I know that, but
No.
and I think Haksabanovic is better further forward, because I think he can influence the play in the wide areas and be creative, and even he showed that he can score goals well. I know it was deflected, but the ball in was it was right for that.
I mean, that was him starting in that position.
Yeah,
I know he was wandering and stuff, but that was where he started.
I know he moved around and he shifted around, but I still like to see him up front and attacking them where it hurts, because I think he's getting he's got his mojo, going, and he's into a bit of a groove. So I think he's starting to shift through the gears. Haksabanovic, so Michael Rossi play Abelgard. Listen, there's only one man that knows what team he's playing, and we'll find out tonight about 6:30, 7:15, won't we?
Yeah.
So, but it's always a great debate, isn't it? And it is quite interesting that you went for the same three as Saturday, and maybe that was the kind of acid test to see how it shaped up and how it worked. But you could argue that they were a 95th minute winner away from it not really working and backfiring a wee bit.
I mean, if you judge it on the result in that sense, because they did create enough to score a couple again. I know we say that every week, but they did. I don't necessarily think O'Reilly looked brilliant in that role, but I do think that when you look at the type of player Abelgard is and the type of player O'Reilly is, who's going to be behind them, Welsh and Carter Vickers, the struggles that came last week from as I say, if they keep the ball better, that kind of negates that in a way. So I almost think the better ball player would be the better option. Whether it works, I don't know. It might not be what it goes with, but I'm thinking that you saw a glimpse of it against St Johnstone.
Also, if you listen to the manager, where he doesn't always talk about, he talks about result and performance, doesn't he? So
that's those two columns. Remember, I keep talking about the two.
He sees a lot of different things, doesn't he? So he always talks about that. So he would not necessarily agree that it backfired in terms of the result. He would maybe see it differently. So yeah, either of those teams, Sean, I'm not perturbed about who plays. I see the merit in both teams. I think it's interesting that we both went a bit different, and it'll be interesting to see what the manager thinks as well. But it's always one that generates and stimulates healthy debate, isn't it?
Sean Malloy saying surely the St Johnstone lineup is a hint to what the team will be. Wouldn't be my choice, but O'Reilly for me in the holding role. I think my forward three is where those two questions I talked about comes in, because if Jota is out, the question for me is, do I put Abada straight in for Jota and keep Maeda on the left there, or move Haksabanovic onto the left, Abada on the right or Maeda on the right, and then it would need to be Abelgard or Moya in the centre mids. Do you know what I mean?
I just think that Maeda's went off the boil a bit. So it's Marky Boyce with your team showing was a bad in for Maeda. Fair enough. I just think, Maeda could do with a rest and just, because I just think he's not contributing or hasn't contributed as much as he has in the previous games. So
I don't know. I mean, in front of goal, certainly, and I think that's my fault for saying he had an outside chance to be top
you
scorer.
jinxed him, Sean. You jinxed him.
But certainly, he still obviously contributes in the other ways. It's certainly, I wouldn't say that he's been amazing because he's not. He's been going through a wee bit of a trough in terms of his attacking play, but all the other stuff's still there. It depends what you're after. Maybe with my own logic about the midfield, that means it should be Abada over Maeda for me as well. But I've gone with Maeda just because I do think that Ange likes to start him when he can. That says he's come on as a sub twice in the Champions League so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has indeed. Yeah. Listen, I mean, we both put our teams up and we've both given explanations, but I also think we maybe need a bit of height, which is also why I've got Abelgard in there in both boxes.
To be fair, O'Reilly's 6'2", but
yeah, I know that he's deceptive, isn't he? Yeah, and also as well that's another argument for possibly Giakoumakis as well. Height in both boxes, because Giakoumakis is no slouch when it comes to defensive headers. So it just depends. As I say, I'm not averse to Giakoumakis starting up front. I just think he prefers Kyogo when both are fit in big games.
Sean H with a comment similar to yours. You lose so much with O'Reilly in that position. I think I don't know how fair that is, because it's all one if you've got everybody fit and you choose to play him there. But with McGregor out, it's almost like you use the phrase "horses for courses." It's almost that in terms of trying to get someone that can take the ball in areas that McGregor can. Nobody will replicate it. We know that, but I don't know if Abelgard can replicate it. That's the thing.
I would want Abelgard to keep things nice and tidy and sweet and simple and just protect.
But is that what they need, Tony? That's what I'd argue. They don't need that. They need somebody that can put it through the lines from that position, not just pass it back to Welsh and Carter Vickers.
Yeah, but I would rely on Hatate and O'Reilly to play the ball through the lines and be creative that way.
That means they've got to come even deeper to get it then.
Well, if that's the case, then so be it. But it's not as if they can't do it. That's the bottom line for me. I know Abelgard maybe is not that Callum McGregor type, but you need to be tight. You need to, because if you lose an early goal as well, you could be up against it, because they were slick at times last week on a counter. And as much as Celtic put them under problems in the first half and created chances, they never took them. So, and the way Celtic are playing just now, you don't know what Celtic's going to turn up, do you? So.
Got a couple of comments here, Tony. I suspect I know your answer to this. Kevin Ferrier, if Jota's not playing, put Giakoumakis in there with Maeda and Kyogo, and then William Lamont. If Jota's out, Kyogo in the wing and Giakoumakis up front. Thoughts?
Well, the manager said that he could do that. It's always an option to him. Will he? I'm not so sure.
I don't think so. No, I'm with Pegleg. I think he's wasted it wide.
Yeah, I do think he's wasted out wide.
I think it's injuries. There's got to be injuries before you end up pushing him out wide, I think. Plus, I mean, I don't think he'll start, but James Forrest looked lively against St Johnstone.
He did.
I thought he looked
He was asked that question yesterday as well in the presser, and he said he was still very much part of the plans, because Forrest is a guy who has that Champions League experience and has won games in the Champions League, so knows what it's like to win at this level. So he did. So that said to me that he might have some part to play, John, in the game.
Potentially, aye. As I said before the start of the season with Forrest, depending on your expectations, I think it could be that kind of 12th man if he starts getting, the most improved player or whatever. Yeah. If you think he's going to get a wee bit more game time, because as long as he's not expected to contribute from the start 3 times a week, there's no reason he can't make an impact. And we'll come on to VAR in a minute, because there was an incident with him that I'd have been interested to see what VAR made of it the other day, because he very well might have got himself on the score sheet less than a minute before the St Johnstone equaliser. Yeah. But before we move on from the predicted 11s, a couple other comments. Mahash here saying Haksabanovich's heat map data says he plays mainly on the left. True. He's also played on the right when he's come on for Celtic so far, played as one of the midfield 3 at the weekend, which is why I've got him there. You've got him on the right, Tony. But again, with Celtic's wingers, a lot of the upside is that most of them can switch during the game if they want.
Interchangeable, yeah.
A couple of comments. EPH saying the defence lacks balance. Maybe the absence of a left footer again. I know Jens has been decent with the ball. As I say, I thought it was poor last week against Leipzig. Don't know what you think about Welsh at left centre back, but he's obviously getting switched, same as he did last year. He started at right centre back. Carter Vickers come in and get switched to the left. Him and Starfelt switched back and forth. The last few weeks he's played right centre back and then played left again on Saturday.
Yeah, well, it's always a problem, isn't it? When Carter Vickers is in, he plays right centre back, and then you're pairing another with him at left centre back. And then did the piece with John Hughes the other week, and he was quite interesting about that, wasn't he? Talking about it, that if it's not natural to you, then that's when problems can occur.
Yep.
And we've seen that in the last couple of weeks.
Put the link to the full explanations that are on the website for these teams, and I know we've explained quite a bit, but the link's in the comments anyway. Billy Grant saying those calling for Ash to change the way his team plays, they've learned nothing. I'd agree with that.
Yep.
Peg Leg Lornigan, Haksabanovic looks better through the middle. He's certainly versatile, Tony. You could have him in a few different positions in these lineups if you think he's starting.
That's why he's not in my midfield. He's in my offensive three. So that was my point I was driving at as well. I think he's more effective there. So that's we'll see how it goes.
Yep. Kaiser saying Haksabanovic on the left. The Mighty Hoops start with McCarthy. We'll come on to him again when it comes to the VAR stuff, I think. So when we go to VAR,
nice segue into VAR, Sean. We've learned that VAR could be introduced before or in October. Yeah, this month.
End of the month by the sounds of it.
End of the month by the sounds of it. Now, you highlighted the James Forrest incident on Saturday, which he could have scored, ran through, was flagged offside. Highlight many other incidents that occurred, but what's your thoughts on VAR coming in at the end of October?
I mean, I've long since made... well. First of all, we'll look at it in terms of the games that will actually affect, right? So the pre-World Cup break games, Tony, that would affect if it comes in the last weekend of October would be Livingston away, Dundee United at home, Motherwell away, and Ross County at home, right?
Yep.
And I just say fair enough, roll it out when it's ready, right? Because I've long since made my peace with the odd and very Scottish football nature of it in terms of introducing something this major after a third of the season or so instead of the start of a campaign. So, I've made my peace with it, so roll it out when it's ready. In terms of VAR itself, I don't want to go back over the St Johnstone game too much because you and Aidan discussed it at length yesterday.
Sure.
I did have in my notes from that game that I'd have been interested to see what VAR made of the Giakoumakis offside and certainly the Forest one. The latter one to me wasn't even marginal. Some quarters have questioned the build-up to that winning goal as well, Tony. I don't think VAR would even have been switched on for that one. I think when you see the sequence of events, there was no infringement. No. Day right, I think it was, hurts his ankle or his foot.
Yeah.
Fair enough, he's hurt his foot, but it wasn't a foul we're talking about. It was an attempted cross blocked by a foot. Off the back of that, Ray Wright stops. Aaron Moy even stops. There's no other midfielders or even in a shot, I think, if you look back. A lot of St Johnstone players stopped. James McCarthy didn't stop. Alexandro Bernabei didn't stop. Giakoumakis didn't stop. I had no problem with it. I think those two decisions I mentioned, the Giakoumakis offside and the Forest chest and run through from a nice Moy pass, certainly I would have been interested to see what VAR ruled for those because they would have been allowed to play out, presumably.
Yeah.
But certainly not with the winning goal. There was nothing there for me.
No, nothing for the winning goal for me. Forrest was the big one, and also Giakoumakis' header. That was very marginal. I've not witnessed a replay of that yet. Was it offside?
What, the
Giakoumakis' header that was disallowed?
I genuinely couldn't tell. I thought it was very, 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 very close. So again, that'd be nice to have seen VAR with it. Just
of course.
It would have been good to see what it actually ruled.
Yeah, correct. And I think that's what you're hoping that VAR will clear these issues up, aren't you?
Don't get me wrong. You're going to be sitting, and we'll probably end up having to talk about VAR a lot once it comes in. You see down south, you see what the world over, because there's still an element of the machine might work, but there's still an element of interpretation with certain things that it will never be flawless. But if it gets more decisions right and avoids daft penalty decisions, avoids or gives good penalty decisions, that kind of stuff, then fair enough.
I saw this one because I was on Twitter, and the handball in the box against St Johnstone. That was the one where Maida's attempted the overhead kick, and St Johnstone players went in like that, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And by
I'm not sure.
letter of the law, that's a clear handball for me. To be fair, so I think that's a penalty. I'd forgotten about that one, so thanks for that.
Patrick as well, bringing that one up by.
And it wasn't even mentioned there. It's a Stonewall penalty, that, for me, because I don't think Maida makes any connection, does he?
If it was scuffed, but I don't remember that.
Stud's job, but I mean, the guy still went like that, towards the ball with his hands and handled it. So I thought that was a penalty. So, but again,
the thing with the Forest one with me, he might have been tripping on the way through, right? But he's still got a slight burst of pace over 5 and 10 yards. He maybe would have got a shot off, but the ball through from Moy, which I want to see more from him because he has got it. He just doesn't do it that often. Lovely wee outside of the football, outside of the football. Outside of the football to Forrest, right onto his chest, who controlled it. Started running through. He did trip slightly. I think it wasn't even marginal. I think he was well onside. But for me, I think I'm right in saying that was less than a minute before St Johnstone went up and get the equaliser. So these things do make a difference. And I know it didn't eventually make a difference in the end to the scoreline, but nonetheless.
No, they will make a difference.
It will in the future.
Yes, indeed. Now, we've had over half an hour, so that has gone in pronto, hasn't it? Indeed.
Certainly.
Marquee Boys comes in with this one, Sean. Celtic haven't had a penalty this season. Am I correct, Sean?
I think so, yep.
A team that does a lot of attacking and is the best attacking record in the league. Quite strange, that, you would imagine, isn't it? But there you have it. Now, Sean, we hope that Celtic turn it on the style tonight and get a much needed win, Champions League win.
Yep.
And keep their last 16 qualification hopes alive. We will see how that comes. We'll be here tomorrow again to talk about it all over again. But we've got to draw your attention to the fabulous prize, Sean, haven't we?
Aye, and then we'll do score predictions, will we?
I forgot about that. Yes, sorry. Yes, I was leaving them hanging there. I knew there was something else. Do you want
to do that first or the Madrid trip first?
We'll do the score predictions first.
All right, okay.
Are you going first or am I?
No, by all means. I think I should bow to you today because as Jason Lee said earlier on, you're looking a wee bit like a pope today. So I think I need to bow down to your station, Pope Antonio, and let you go first.
Dear oh dear. I've been called many things, but I've never been called the Pope. There you have it. What can you say to that? Well, my divine judgment is that Celtic will win 2-1, Sean. There you go.
All right. Okay. I think it could be a barnstormer. So I'm going to go... No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go 3-2 with Celtic.
3-2 Celtic.
Because I do, as much as I think Carter Vickers is going to make a big difference at that back line, I still see Leipzig scoring. I just think that this will be the game that Celtic finally have their shooting boots on too. Okay,
well, we've both gone for a Celtic win. Robert Gibson 1 each. Jason Lee 2-0. Each feeling it 1-0 Celtic. Sean H. 3-1 Celtic. Jerry Smith 1 each. Marty Boys 5-4 Celtic. Patrick will go that.
Now, you never know. It's a Partizan Belgrade type thing.
William Lamont 4-1. Michael Ross 4-3. Chilpel 3-2. Hat won't take it. David Bradley 2-1.
Yep.
2-1 according to your holiness. Well, Sean, I've heard it all now. I've been called everything in my life, many things, but never.
Just before we go on to the Madrid trip, Tony, just to flash up this, just in case anybody else is having problems. Junior Duffy saying, please help me subscribe. Tried umpteen times to no avail. See if you give me a direct message on the Facebook page, because I notice you're on the Facebook. I'll try and help you with that if you give me what the issue is and stuff like that. Failing that, you can get one of us on Twitter. DM us on Twitter or email, either of the twos, which are on the contact us bit of the website and stuff. And if anybody else is having trouble, just give us a shout.
Indeed. We'll endeavour to help you because you want to be entered into the draw for this.
Certainly do.
Fabulous prize Indeed, subscribe to win. You know the deal. An all expenses paid trip for two to Madrid to watch Celtic play in the Bernabeu on November the 2nd, courtesy of the Celtic Way and Travel Bank Holidays. If you're a subscriber, fill in the form that is in your email inbox and you're already in the draw. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Costs £6 for 6 months for full access to the pods and everything that's written on the website. Hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and then the form will appear in your inbox, and that's how you're entered in the draw. And it's a wonderful prize. It's the best, biggest and best that we've given away on the Celtic Way. Got to be in it to win it, guys. Hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. All roads to paradise tonight, Sean. Celtic RB Leipzig.
Yep. Can't wait. I say that now.
Yes, indeed. Listen, thank you very much, guys, for the comments. We appreciate it. We've built up a wonderful community here and we really enjoy the engagement. We thank you for your subscription as well. And I just hope that one of you at some point is dancing and jumping around and going mental that they've won this trip to Madrid. I'm sure they will, and they'll let us know in the fullness of time. But all the best. Have a terrific Tuesday up until kick-off time. That's when the nerves start. Thank you for your contribution, Sean. First class as always.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, Trips.